Okay, so I'm here today with Harpreet Singh of Launchable. My name is John Long. I also work at Launchable. I am a product designer. Harpreet's our CEO, our co-CEO. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about deep work and discussing some of the fun things we're doing at Launchable. So Harpreet, I'll kick it off to you. What is this concept of deep work? Where did you learn about this, and why does it matter?
Yeah, so I came across this, in the last maybe 15, 20 years, there's been like this real emphasis on multitasking and how that is really, really good. And everybody's running in a race to do a lot of work, do multiple things at the same time, juggle a lot of balls in the air. And it just felt very counterintuitive to me, right? We've all been in days where we are sitting down and having meetings and meetings and meetings and not getting work done. So there's this author, Cal Newport, that I follow. He's done some really good books. And he talked about this concept of deep work, which is the ability to sort of, block time to do like heavy cognitive work and get a lot of stuff done, right? And that's where I was introduced to this work. And I read the book. It spoke to a lot of my challenges. So that's where I discovered this term, deep work.
How has that impacted what we're doing at Launchable? What are some of the lessons that you've taken out of this?
So I think I want to set this context, right? The horse picture behind me is intentional. So I meditate quite a bit. And one of them, in meditation, they talk about either your mind being like this monkey mind, or like you have too many horses running, like too many thoughts running all over the place, and you're trying to bring them all to one place, right? And unless you sort of bet on that one horse, you cannot get stuff done. So at Launchable, we've kind of tried to do that, right? And the way we brought that in was through this notion of get shit done days. The term was borrowed from Atlassian, where I saw they were trying to do this, maybe not entirely successfully, but still successful enough for a big company. So what we did was we started with get shit done days, and we started with 1 day a week. We found it very useful that you could block in a good amount of time to really focus and do work. And so eventually we've now moved to about 3 days of get shit done days, right? And that's how we brought it in Launchable. And where it came about from was Cal Newport talked about, to really do deep work, you need to allocate chunks of time. And the smallest chunk of time that really helps you push things forward is like about a day. So that's what we try to bring in by sort of saying we'll block get shit done day for the whole company.
So 3 days a week, at one of my previous companies, we had like a work from home day. Is that what this is about? Like, is this a work from home day?
This is
like how does it work in practice?
Yeah, I mean, you have this smirk going on, so I don't know if you are you saying work from home, people don't work from home kind of smirk there.
Well, I'm thinking it's kind of funny because we're all working from home because of the pandemic now. But
yeah, so it's really the idea here is that you sit down and do work and do important work, and you're not going to be disturbed by people. So there's not going to be Slack interruptions, right? There's no need to urgently jump on something. And what we find is people, like, if I wanted John to come on a call and I know like his Slack status shows he's doing a GSD session, I know that I'm not going to bug him, right? If I was supposed to meet him, I'll put a meeting for the days where you don't have get shit done days. Or maybe I'll sit down and write what I want from John and let John sort of focus on producing quality work, right? This analogy from Cal Newport really helped. He said, like, you don't you can't listen to 10 mediocre singers and call it like an excellent performance. To really deliver something excellent, you have to really put the time and effort to do that. And that's what the get shit done days do. So you can be at work, you can be sitting at a Starbucks, I hope not, or you can be in office and really focus on producing some uh, impactful work.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do you get this done within an organization? Like, is this something that, I as an individual can just start implementing, or what do you recommend?
I have some, ex-colleagues who've been posting on my blog that I wrote about this, saying that they've been doing this on their personal time, uh, just by themselves. But I think to be really effective, this needs some level of organizational buy-in, right? For a small startup like us, that buy-in comes from like 10, 15 people. That's great. But I did see this work at Atlassian, where 3,000 people company had get shit done days. So there's some organizational buy-in. So you can't just have like John saying, I'm doing a get shit done day while John's team is meeting for, an urgent call. It just won't work. So there's some organizational buy-in. And then there's some umbrella that shields people for this, right? So one that I've spoken to is the umbrella of doing important versus urgent work needs to be provided. So that you don't have to jump on a call just because the CEO, pinged you on Slack. You shouldn't drop everything and run, right? And so that umbrella needs to come in. Another umbrella is a avenue of writing thoughtful stuff, right? So when you produce stuff, you need to write it out such that others can consume that. So those are the two key pieces, I think, that enables get shit done days to be successful.
What does this look like for different roles within a company? I mean, you're obviously the CEO. You're interested in what people are working on. What about other folks?
Yeah, so there's some jobs that are inherently like more outward facing, where you think about sales, and that's the role I have these days, or think about, and you typically think you should be on a call. So they may not entirely use this the way say an engineer does it. But what we found that even with a role like sales, you're sitting down and actually hypothesizing on what are the lessons you're learning from these customer conversations. Who should you go after? And that requires thinking, right? So that's the sort of the most cognitively distant from deep work that I can think of. And I've seen that work for me in that worldview. Drew on our team certainly kind of spends a lot of time now thinking about where to go and who to talk to and writing these hypotheses. Roles like engineering, product management, you need time to think about things. So I think they love it. I hope, John, you like it, because so I'll just flip the question to you. How you as design have sort of seen this at Launchable?
So I'm a big fan of it. I think one of the things that's really nice about it is it gives me a different cadence to my week. And, because we have 3 days during the week that are kind of dedicated to this, I'm able to get 2 to 3 solid pushes on work on those days. And that really helps me move things forward that in past roles, I would have been trying to do a little here or there between meetings. I know, when I've done a little bit of design management as well, it just all of a sudden there's no time because there's so many meetings as a manager that you're involved in. And so, yeah, I think it's been hugely valuable. I think the other thing that goes along with this for me is just starting to adopt a more remote way of working. And you're right, that means creating more documents sometimes to flesh out ideas. But what you're really doing is creating opportunities for people to work with you async, right? Instead of having a meeting around a particular topic, you can create a proposal, get people's feedback, We do a lot in Confluence and, those tools to kind of facilitate that async communication.
You point an interesting thing. I remember one of your comments in the past where you were talking about where feedback used to come to you in meetings, which is very useful. But what I sort of see the benefit of like a get shit done day is when you have sort of put these things out, when I'm responding to those, I can actually spend time on my get shit done day to really think deeply on what you've created. So the feedback that is coming, that I'm giving back or I'm receiving, is much more thoughtful. It's not like, I saw something in a slide deck in a meeting for 2 minutes and then I reacted to it, and that creates a bunch of homework for you because you couldn't share the context, right? That's been wonderful as well from my perspective.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's probably less noticeable, but we have less meetings after the meetings to figure out what to do. Instead, that kind of thing is happening through these async kind of ways where we review it and ask questions on a document rather than in person. So that's good.
So I had one question here. So you're talking about, the change that has happened. Do you feel like the quality of output and the pace that you generate things is markedly different than some of the past roles where you didn't have this umbrella?
Yeah, so honestly, it's a little hard for me to tell in some ways. I do think there is a degree of higher quality, but my role has kind of changed a lot in the last couple of years. And so getting that comparable for me personally is a little difficult. But I will say I feel very productive at Launchable, and I haven't necessarily felt that in other roles. So, yeah.
All right.
What about you?
I'll take that. I feel that the quality of output and the pace is much higher in my past roles, and for the last maybe 8 or 9 years, it's been like, I've been managing people, managing product, and it's just series of meetings after meetings after meetings, and then providing like really compelling quality sort of thinking used to take like weeks or months, or you're spending every weekend trying to write something that the organization can go on. And now I find that I can accomplish that during my week, right? I'm not playing catch up all the time. I'm not underwater all the time. I feel like I'm ahead of stuff, right? And so that joy, it makes me feel like, okay, I'm worthwhile as a manager and as a human being, that I'm not running behind all the time, right? So that has been really nice for me.
Yeah, I can see that. So wrapping this up, if someone was to want to delve into this a little bit more, what would you recommend?
So one is, I'll just recommend you jumping to the Launchable blog. We'll post a link on this blog on the thinking there. Another one has been an article from Atlassian on Get Shit Done Days, and they sort of have a playbook that says how you can implement it. So maybe that's another one to go do. I find like what's that team that John, you and me follow? Basecamp guys have some thoughts there. Yeah, those are excellent as well. And finally, you can head to the Cal Newport book. It's a little dense, but if you need convincing on deep work, that's the place to go.
Awesome. So that book is Deep Work: Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World. And if you're interested in learning more about Launchable, we're at launchableinc.com.